Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show on a Monday.
Yeah, look, I want to support the American worker. Big fan of the American worker.
Mm-hmm.
Go proletariat. But I am, but Labor Day really throws me off. Labor Day's tough. Because it's just a work
really
day. We have so much. We have so much
year.
to do on Monday. It's like
Yeah.
okay, well. Anyway, hello, welcome on to the free show before the pre-show. Pickle. How many kids do you have?
It's the pre-show before the free show, and none. I have a cat, which is kind of like having a kid to a certain extent, but not near as much.
Okay, so you don't have any kids.
No human kids, no.
Okay. I'd like to present the first in what I think will be a running series here on the pre-show for the free show, which is having a child is like having a roommate who gets high all the time. So that's the name of the segment. We can get like a fancy graphic. We can go on Fiverr and do like a big animated graphic. And it
Of
just
like
says,
Hank with...
having a child is like having a roommate who gets high all the time.
Okay, I'll do Hank with like marijuana leaves behind him.
This isn't about Hank, though.
Okay.
This is about Max.
Okay, well, I'll do Max. It's even better.
So, yesterday, Max turned 9 months old. It's been 9 months since the regional finals of the
Yep,
2021
that's
season.
how we measure time
You guys
around
know. If
here.
you guys want to know, it's been exactly 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
He turned 9 months yesterday.
Big time.
And he is this close to crawling.
Oh, gosh.
He is
That's
real
bad
close.
news for you and the wife.
Real close. Like I'm like imminent, as in like if it doesn't happen this week, I'll be pretty surprised.
Okay.
It's gonna happen. Okay. So he's
Is 9 months? That's on track for crawling.
Yeah, it's right. It's the fat part of the bell curve.
Okay.
The fat part of the bell curve. So he's starting to, roll. He's rolling around a lot and stuff like that. And
Frolicking.
he's just getting pretty good at moving, although he's not quite crawling quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Saturday night. My wife and I have put the kids to bed. We're finally sitting down and enjoying a moment to say hello to one another.
Yes.
On the couch. And Max starts wailing upstairs. He's crying. And so we go up there and we take care of him. Come back down. And 45 minutes later, the exact same thing happens. And what I'm here to tell you is that the reason that my son was crying is because he had sat up in bed.
And he couldn't figure out how to lay back down.
He did not know how to get back down. He had no idea. He was out of answers. He was out of answers there. He was sitting up in bed and just crying. What do I do now? Am I stuck like this?
I'm
so tired. I want to go to sleep, but I can't. I can't figure it out. It's no, dude, just fall down. Just fall down. But we've also taught him, it's no, we want you to sit on your bottom and have balance.
Yeah, so it's it's a big yay, boo.
No,
situation.
he is we're giving him mixed signals, and I am sympathetic to that.
Yeah.
But bro, just lay down. just lay down. I promise you'll be okay.
He's chunky. He can just kind of flop over.
He absolutely can. He absolutely
the weight to get him down is there.
Right. And I was thinking about this. I was this must be what it's like to have a roommate who just gets high all the time.
Yeah.
Who's just oh man,
it's the answer's right there.
I'm sitting up and I don't know how to get down from here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's no, dude, just fall down. I promise you'll be okay.
You'll be okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's today's installment of having a kid is like having a roommate who gets high all the time. Because that's the first thing I thought. I was just
oh yeah.
There have definitely been people who've been very high who have not figured out how to lay down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're I'm stuck up.
Yeah, I'm stuck.
This.
I'm
it's
stuck
not
up.
happening.
I'm gonna live.
If I lay down, something bad happens.
I'm gonna live like this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like it's a decent comparison.
Yeah, exactly. All right, hit the theme expo. Pickle. Hit the air sign. Yes, yo! From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a show that's going to try to cram two shows into one. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all of the places, or you'll just on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of thy choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part. Support your local, mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She's the executive producer of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. She's an on-air analyst for Valley Sports Southwest. She's the owner of a peach shirt. She has a cowlick going on today.
I do. Yeah, the headset kind of, well, it doesn't fully hide it. Earlier, I looked like a Frenchman with a toupee on or something.
She's Ashley Pickle.
Hi, friends.
Hi. Today is Tuesday.
But it's actually Monday.
September 6th, 2022. It is 79 days to Thanksgiving. I ordered my turkey this weekend. I'm not kidding you.
Oh, did you get the sale?
Uh-huh. There's 25% off sale going on at my favorite turkey company. So
I need to call the folks and make sure that even if I'm going down south for Thanksgiving, that's still an option.
Don't you worry. Happy birthday to YouTube star Peyton DeLu Myler, who's 13.
My favorite, or the worst.
Or TikTok star Maddie Gray, who is 23.
That's literally I'm happy for you, or I'm sorry. I don't know, whichever one
or
fits
happy
best.
15th birthday to TikTok star. I hate this. Episode 1450. On today's show, friends, we have an irresponsibly large show for you.
Yes, it'll probably be like an hour and a half.
This show's too big, and I cannot in good conscience encourage you to enjoy this in one sitting. Like, get up and stretch your legs halfway through.
You need an intermission.
All right, here's what we're doing. We got Monday Morning Fallout, overreacting to the football weekend. Then we got Craig Way. Okay? We got Craig Way. Then we got the 5 biggest college football moments of the weekend. Then we got the Texan Live Plays of the Week. Okay? With a bunch of other things sprinkled inside.
Yeah.
Okay?
That was like one every 3 segments that we're doing.
Those are like the big tent poles.
Yes.
We got a lot of things in between the tent poles. We got a lot going on today. Welcome in. Do we first 4 through the door?
We sure do. It was Ed McElroy, Robert Legow, Nick M., which I'm assuming is Nicholas Morton, and Aaron Flynn. Welcome in, fellas.
Today's also Idris Elba's birthday.
Oh, nice.
And Idris Elba is, of course, Stringer Bell from The Wire.
Yes.
And Stringer Bell from The Wire is, of course, on the graphic that I send out whenever Coppell wins, which is a good time to remind you that the Coppell Cowboys are 2-0. Happy birthday, Idris Elba.
So are the Atlanta Yellow Jackets. They beat Burnett.
I guess the only way to start is from the beginning.
Yes.
Pickle! Hit the air raid siren. It's time for Monday Morning Fallout. Monday Morning Fallout, of course, when we overreact to the football weekend, and so good we got to do it twice, and quite a weekend
excited.
to overreact to here in week 2 of the Texas high school football season, week 1 officially of the Texas college football season. A lot to get into. Start with my 3 big thoughts. Thought number 1, wipe the slate clean. We spent a lot of week 1's aftermath kind of marveling at all of the upsets and all of the chaos that came about. And don't get me wrong, a number of teams that we thought were contenders continued on what is a treacherous path. South Oak Cliff dropped to 0-2, right? Aledo dropped to 0-2. Lake Travis dropped to 0-2, a few of them. But for the most part, I think what we learned in week 2 was that week 1 for a lot of teams was just a blip. Just a nice, figure things out. I'll give you an example. College Station. And you were even talking to me before we came on the air about College Station. College Station did not look good against Lovejoy.
No, they did not.
In their season opener. They did not. But lo and behold, they go and they drill Fort Worth Nolan Catholic to get right? Feeling much better now about the way things are going there, right?
Yeah.
Who else? Shiner. Shiner, we thought, big concern. They're playing a 3A Vanderbilt Industrial, who usually plays from tight. Nope. Beat them by more than 40.
Yep.
Right? Refugio. Refugio had a nice bounce-back win after obviously struggling in week 1 and losing. They bounced back in a big way. And got that offense cooking against Corpus Christi London, a 3A team, right? A lot of teams used the week 1 to buoy themselves back to get ready in week 2.
Right.
I think Crosby is an example of that.
Yeah, no
Crosby,
kidding.
who got clubbed.
Drilled.
They got clubbed by C.E. King in week 1. When got a really nice win over Fort Bend Marshall.
Well, I mean, heck, even Allen at that point. They got drilled by Bosco and then turned around and really put one on C.E. King, which we thought was really good.
Absolutely. And so, it's always that delicate balance in the early going of the season where we don't want to overreact to a result, but we also don't want to underreact to a result. Now taken in concert as the first 2 results of this year, I think for a lot of teams that we were maybe starting to reach for the panic button about,
right,
we're a little bit calmer about.
Yeah, and now week 3 is imminent, and it's like, okay, now we still have questions.
Still have questions, and we'll find out a lot more.
Yep.
But those are the things that, to me, you have to give these teams, if you're going to talk about the concerns that you had coming out of week 1, you've got to be willing to wipe the slate clean if they perform in week 2.
Absolutely.
That's a case. Thought number 2, grand opening. So a lot of the college football season, a lot of the college football talk is going to be about what was the game of the week. I think not just in the state, but in the nation, which is UTSA and Houston going in triple overtime and Houston winning it. I thought that was a lot of fun. What I took a look at across the state of Texas was debuts and what we saw. For example, it was the head coaching debut for Rhett Lashley at SMU. And I thought it went really well. I thought they looked really good.
I was there and can say it went very well for Coach Lashley and his ball club.
It was the debut. Of Joey McGuire.
Yep.
And I would also say, I would lump in there, offensive coordinator, Texas Tech offensive coordinator, Zach Kitley. As they put one on Murray State. Don't get too crazy about it because just
Right.
Murray State.
But that was the convincing win that we were wondering if we were
wanted
going
to
to
see if they would get, right? They looked
They
every
scored
bit
the
part.
most points out of any of the Texas college teams this weekend.
It was the – no, they didn't.
63, right?
Baylor scored 69.
Nice.
It was the debut of new Texas A&M defensive coordinator DJ Durkin. And while I have some questions about the Aggies on the offensive side, specifically in the trenches, coming out of that game against Sam Houston, I do not have questions about the defense. They looked fantastic. It was the debut of TCU coach Sonny Dykes, and I thought they looked pretty darn good
In the second half.
in the second half.
The first half was a little rough.
A little rough, but looked pretty good. It was the debut of Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers. And I thought overall he played pretty well. I don't think it was you put him at the top of the Heisman race.
Right.
But I thought that overall he played pretty well.
Yeah. They'll get an actual test this week.
Yes, absolutely. And so that was where my mind kind of went with a lot of these games is like, who are these new pieces we've been talking about over the course of the last 9 months, basically, and they finally, rubber finally met road. And I think for a lot of them, for many of them, it was a positive overall positive result for them, for the most part. And thought number 3, 2 and woe.
I don't like to give you credit, but this one was clever.
We spent a lot of time talking about the 0-2 teams, right? Teams that, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're 0-2. I can't figure it out. Here's my question. Let's focus a little bit on the teams that we did not expect to be 2-0 at this point. How about the Boys Ranch Rough Riders? Boys Ranch is 2-0. They have a game this week against Stinnett, West Texas. Boys Ranch, of course, snapped a 49-game losing streak last year. They are now 2-0. When they won their opener, this is true, when they beat Ropes in the opener, that was the first time in a decade that they've been above 500 at any point.
Wow.
Okay? They're now 2-0. And if they beat Stinnett, West Texas this week, and I think they're gonna,
Yeah, they've got a good shot.
they will be 3-0 for the first time since 1976.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
That's one. How about who else is 2-0? That's like, it's not surprising that Crawford's 2-0.
No.
Great win over Centerville, but not necessarily surprising that they're 2-0. What about Leander? Leander is 2-0 for what feels like the first time.
Yeah, which
quite
is
some time.
wild because I think Rouse is 0-2 now, right?
I believe that's correct.
I mean, we did not see that coming.
Right. Donna North is 2-0. They've never won more than 2 games in a season.
So things are trending well.
San Antonio Lee is 2-0. How, after snapping a 22-game losing streak, is 2-0? Pearsall is 2-0. Right? A lot of these programs that we haven't seen in quite some time are suddenly off to hot starts. So as much as we want to pay attention to what's wrong with Lake Travis, what's wrong with Aledo, oh my gosh, like, can they get the wheels back on? Let's take a moment to celebrate some of the teams that are a little bit surprising in being 2-0 to start the year. El Paso High is 2-0.
Yeah. They won no games last year, right?
I think they went 0-10, maybe 1-9, but yeah. Anyway, there's 3 big thoughts. 3 helmet stickers. A helmet sticker for Royce City running back Sam Mitchum. Carried the ball 25 times, 268 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. He also had 48 yards and a touchdown receiving for the alma mater of our own Cameron Worthy. TCU linebacker D. Winters was really good against Colorado. I have questions about TCU, but I do not have questions about D. Winters. 5 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, a sack, a pass breakup, and a quarterback hit. He was all over the field.
Yeah, they needed him in that second
Colorado.
half.
He was really, really good. And a helmet sticker to Andrews quarterback Ashton Galvan, who goes 13 of 14, 213 yards, 5 touchdowns passing, and he also ran for 136 yards. Helmet sticker, Andrews quarterback Ashton Galvan. 3 teams to watch. How about Belleville? Belleville's 2-0. And Belleville, remember, losing all those players they had last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Robert Briggs and, golly, who was the other guy? I got tweeted about it, and I want to make sure I look this up. But they were, Richard Reese.
Yes.
They lose those guys, and everyone's like, oh, man, what's wrong with them?
Well, because Belleville was an underrated team, or we were like, oh, well, they would come back with a target on their back, but they're losing their 2 best players,
lost,
so
exactly right.
maybe not.
Well, they drilled Stafford 55-0.
Yeah, that
last
was
week.
impressive.
Extremely impressive. Big game this week against Navasota, but keep an eye on Belleville. I'm inclined to buy a little bit of stock in the Brahmas. Incarnate Word, G.J. Kinney is unbeaten as a head coach as he leads the Cardinals to a victory in their opener. They rolled past Southern Illinois and looked good doing it. Quarterback Lindsey Scott was fantastic, 50-22. They were really, really good, even weathering a rain delay. But they took advantage and looked fantastic in G.J. Kinney's opener.
If you want to hear more about that, quick side note, if you want to hear more about that win or any other small college win, the Republic of Football is now doing a once-a-week small college preview show or recap show with Mike Craven and Corey Hogue, and so they just released that now. I think it's on TexasFootball.com, so go listen to that after you get done with TFT.
Bang. And how about Breckenridge? The Buckaroos are 2-0, and they've got a huge game this week against Cisco, and they can really kind of solidify themselves as not just a little darling, but they beat Childress like a drum last week, 35-8. And they've got wins over Jacksboro and Childress. They beat Cisco this week, and I know it's a 3-0 over 2A, but still, they beat Cisco this week. That's a strong 3-0 from Casey Pierce's Buckaroos. Keep an eye on them, and especially if Jim Ned's going to be down, because Jim Ned's 0-2. Jim Ned's coming down. Maybe District 3 is there for them. 3 to see, 3 games to keep an eye on coming up this weekend. The game of the week, in my opinion, Spring Westfield and Galena Park North Shore, live on TexanLive.com. These are 2 teams that have been wrecking machines. They've been clobbering fools, and now they're going to square up. Remember, Westfield was the only team to beat North Shore last year. Does North Shore get some revenge? Great quarterback matchup. Love it. 11 a.m. Saturday. I don't know if you heard about this game.
No, this one completely just real under the radar. This is a hipster pick for you.
Alabama visits Texas. Measuring stick. I don't think anybody expects Texas to win this game.
No.
But if they can keep it close, that would bode well for where Steve Sarkisian's.
And I'll go back to I'll make it public once again. If Texas wins this game, watch out for UTSA the week after that. I'm sticking to that.
Okay. I don't think I don't think you need to worry about that. I don't think they're going to beat Alabama.
Right. But if they do.
And finally, out east, Dangerfield and Timpson.
This one's tasty.
Dangerfield and Timpson. This was the game when we were at in Beckville for Timpson and Beckville to open the season. When it became clear that Timpson was going to run past Beckville, we were like, oh boy, 2 weeks from now, Dangerfield comes to town. This is a huge matchup, state-ranked matchup between 2 small schools, 3A versus 2A. This is a game that is going to be very, very tasty.
Yeah, Terry Bussey from 2 games has 15 touchdowns, 6 passing, 9 rushing.
15
nice. How
touchdowns
crazy
in 2
is that?
games.
That's insane.
Dangerfield, Timpson. That's 3 to see. That's Monday Morning Fallout. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Pickle, can you tell me about the Ozarka Fueled by Nature Teams of the Week?
I sure can. Dave Campbell's Texas Football is proud to honor one team from each classification with the Ozarka Fueled by Nature Team of the Week award. The team selected throughout the course of this program has exemplified the best of Texas high school football. We will start off with 6A, Houston Northbrook, the Raiders. Tepper called it. I'll give him credit. The Raiders broke into the win column for the first time since November of 2017, snapping the state's longest active losing skid at 42 games with a 27-14 victory over Aldine. You called it.
Yes, and by the way, congratulations very much to Andres Gomez and the Raiders. Very well deserved. Good to get in that win column.
5A now. El Paso, playing without their head coach, Ray Aguilar. He was tending to a family matter. The Tigers rode Coach Johnson and Coach Carrares, who combined for 386 yards and 5 touchdowns, rushing to a 39-33 victory over El Paso. Hanks improving to 2-0 for the first time since 2016. 4A, Navasota. Deontay Scott ran for an 11-yard touchdown in overtime, his third touchdown of the game as the Rattlers surged past rival Madisonville 27-21. 3A, aforementioned Howe. A week after snapping a 22-game losing streak, the Bulldogs jumped all over Tom Bean early, and they never looked back, getting a 49-6 victory to notch consecutive wins for the first time since September of 2018. 2A, Crawford in a top 5 showdown in 2A Division I. The Pirates defense stood tall, and 2A star Breck Chambers paced the offense as Crawford down number 4 Centerville 21-6. 1A now in the 6A ranks. Savoy, a program that's battled through long losing streaks and low participation numbers, earned its reward on Friday, taking down Melissa Chant 54-26 to earn the first varsity win since 2018. And finally, in the private school ranks, we have Pasadena First Baptist. The Warriors made a statement on Saturday night, beating defending state champion Houston Emery Weiner by mercy rule 54-6 to improve to 2-0 on the season. So there it is, the Ozarka Team of the Week winners. Congratulations to all of them on their miraculous wins.
Thank you, Ozarka, and congratulations to each of those teams. Very well deserved. And now, a word from our friends at VCR Now.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
Pickle, believe it or not, it is Tuesday.
Tuesdays.
And on Tuesdays, we talk with the Hall of Famer, the co-host of High School Scoreboard Live on Valley Sports Southwest, the host of Light the Tower down there on the Horn in Austin every weekday. We're joined by the great Craig Way. Craig, it's good to talk to you for the first time in an hour.
How are you guys? Hey, I'm still having trouble processing something you said on my show earlier this morning, Tap, and I want to see if you can follow me along on this deal. Okay? You were asked by my co-host Jeff Howe about if you'd really gotten into a deep dive and were breaking down the effects of the new NCAA rules against cut blocking and how it affected slot T offenses. Right. And you gave a really good answer. But then you also said, I haven't really gotten into the DCTF lab with my lab coat on to figure it out. And I just got this vision in my mind of you and Pickle and Matt's, my gosh, Matt's dad, and everybody else, all the staff, Mallory, everybody in the staff, all in lab coats with test tubes and Bunsen burners, trying to figure this thing out. It's a vision I can't unsee right now.
I what I want is you do radio. Radio is a theater of the mind. That is what I want. I want people to be envisioning me and Ishmael Johnson holding beakers, like with different colored liquids in it, and this somehow being connected to what's wrong with the Geronimo Navarro offense.
We did have to order Tepper like extra big lab goggles because his head's so big. So just
Oh.
Well,
keep
I
an eye
mean,
on that.
you think about this. You guys like to talk about nerding out. I mean, now that's taking nerding out to a different level. Is all I got to say about that. I mean, no, that's not theater of the mind, Ted. That is horror theater of the mind. I just want to say that. But okay, that's okay. I'm trying to process this, like I said.
So, Craig, we are now 2 weeks into the Texas high school football season. Just an overall take that I had that I issued just about 30 minutes ago was that I thought that overall, with obviously some clear exceptions, but overall, week 2 of the Texas high school football season probably served to calm more waters than they served to chop them up, so to speak. That coming out of week 1, there were a lot of teams that were maybe looking around going, oh no, what's going on here? And for the most part, I would say week 2 served to make it a little bit more a little more of a calming effect. Is that something you can go on board with?
Especially if you're presenting as your poster child for that, Allen.
Yes.
I think so. So yeah, and yes, for every action, equal and opposite reaction, all that kind of stuff. Since we're still in the lab here,
Mm-hmm.
In looking at it, there are the exceptions to the rule. We spent some time talking about the surprising 2-0s, the surprising 0-2s, but it's only 2 weeks in. So, that it's easy to draw the overreaction on an 0-2 Aledo, an 0-2 South Oak Cliff, an 0-2 Lake Travis, an 0-2 Brock. It's easy to draw that. By the same token, does that mean that it's just as hyped up about a 2-0 Leander, a 2-0 Boys Ranch, a 2-0 Mineral Wells? I mean, so that's why it's such a small sample size right now to roll back to your cup blocking thing. It's a small sample. It's probably going to take a little further research, a little more lab time to get a better read on it.
Yeah, we need more Bunsen burners. It's Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Join us here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag TF Today. All right, Craig, then let's go that opposite way because we spent a lot of time talking about, we even did a segment on Scoreboard about, oh man, these surprising 0-2 team. Brock is 0-2. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Let's flip that. And we've talked about, we've asked, okay, who are we hitting the panic button on? I want to go the opposite side of that. Who's a 2-0 team that maybe you didn't expect to be 2-0 right now, but you think is not a fluke? That you think this is the real deal. This 2-0 team is maybe they're not just a product of whatever brought them to that 2-0 record, that they are the real deal that we should be talking about in a serious way. Is there a 2-0 team that strikes you that you say, all right, you know what? I think I'm going to buy some stock in them.
I think it depends on how much stock, where the stock leads you. In other words, are we talking about a 2-0 team that was not good in recent past or even as recent as last year that now all of a sudden is a playoff contender, or you think will be a playoff or a deep contender? If you're talking about a playoff contender, yeah, you could say Elgin.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you could. Given that the wins that they had, you could say that. You could say Hayes, since they moved down from 6A to 5A. I think you could do that. And then there's probably some other ones. What's the one school you were pointing out in the tweet? Alba Golden hadn't given up a point yet. The Eagles hadn't given up a point yet this season. So things like that are some markers that you see early in the year, and you go, okay, because they've done this to this point, it makes sense. It would be silly and ridiculous to say Highland Park falls in that category, because they don't. They flat don't. But they are a 6A program, and to beat, back-to-back 6A Louisville ISD schools in Marcus and Louisville High, at least it's worth noting that they seem to have kind of seamlessly made that transition into it. So, a case can be made for it, I would say.
I'll throw another one out there, and maybe it's just because of the smoldering wreckage that was 5A Division II this past week, but what about Argyle? Argyle's a team making the leap up. I think there was a lot of questions about whether or not they could contend in 5A, and now suddenly they find themselves the number one stinking team in the classification. Part of it is because there's been, debris
Chaos
raining from the skies in 5A Division II, but at the same time, they got a great win over Lovejoy. That's a team that I look at 2-0 and say, all right, maybe as far as a deep contender is concerned, that might be that example of a team that we had some question marks, but at 2-0, I'm going, okay, maybe this Argyle team is going to make that transition pretty seamlessly.
See, now you've gone and done it. You've angered Todd Rogers again. That's how that happens. Now you put him number one there. Todd gets to be the modern day version now of active coaches getting angry at you now that Phil Danaher is retired.
Yes.
So now it gets to be Todd. No, it's an excellent point, and this is another one of those wrinkles or byproduct of the prisoner of the moment thing when we talk about teams like Highland Park or Argyle. They step up in classification, but we are so accustomed to seeing programs like that. I'll give you another one, LBJ down here. Yeah, they dropped their season opener to, by the way, a good Manor team. That's another 2-0 that I'm buying even as a 6A. But they look much more on par in pretty much handling a solid, if somewhat surprising 0-2 Weiss team. So those teams that have excelled at their classification level over the past several years, there's just something inside all of us that's expecting them to continue to do well, even as they move up in classification. Whether that's a fair assessment or not, we come to expect it. And so far, Highland Park and Argyle and LBJ, I think, have delivered.
Craig Way, let's do the thing that we do where we're mean to each other. I'm going to give you 3 games, although you are even meaner to me on your show, but that's neither here nor there. I won't air the grievances live on worldwide television. What I want to ask you is, I'm going to give you 3 games. You can teleport to one of them but you can only teleport to one. You can either teleport to Galena Park for Galena Park North Shore and Spring Westfield. You can teleport to Dangerfield for Timpson at Dangerfield, or you can teleport to, let's say you can teleport to Prosper for Rockwall and Prosper in a state-ranked 6A matchup. Which one are you going to?
That one was kind of on my radar as one to. I said it when I was reading your state rankings this morning, and I said it was. That's going to be a really juicy matchup to watch. But I'm gonna go along with you. The two of us will stand on the sideline for it, and that's North Shore Westfield, because you mentioned it earlier, and I agree. Now, for the second week in a row, you've left a Westbrook top 5 matchup off of the list. You left out Westbrook Jonesboro last week, and you've got Westbrook Rankin on the outside again, and I think it's right there with it. But probably for the purposes of this discussion here, I'm with you on this one. I think it would be North Shore. We get a better measurement, or not that we don't already have a pretty good sample size on Westfield, but we get a real hunk of one this week by watching. I view it much in the same prism as I did Katy Atascocita last week, and I think it'll be a similar type thing this week between those two.
Okay, and finally, and this is not a high school football question, but people may not know this, but because you're just high school football guy here on Texas Football Today, you are also the voice of the Texas Longhorns, and they have a big game this weekend against Alabama. I'm not interested in asking you about your take on the Alabama-Texas game. You listen to the
You're
Horn.
the only one.
Listen to the Horn in Austin if you want to hear Craig and Jeff's take on Alabama and Texas. Here's my question. This is an 11 a.m. kick. And I know where you will be at 1 a.m. because I'll be with you in the Las Colinas studios outside of Dallas at Bally Sports Southwest doing High School Scoreboard Live. My question to you is, give me the rundown of how the hours of, let's say, 1 a.m. until 11 a.m. are going to go for you on what will be Saturday morning.
Well, let me put it to you this way. I know, and for folks who don't know, Tepper on the air during a commercial break of the show last week, just past the midnight hour, put out a call and a plea for coffee.
I did.
And he was largely ridiculed for it and didn't get it.
Never got it, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, you did? They brought you one?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I said you were largely ridiculed for it and didn't get it.
Good.
Yeah. So
That's not healthy.
You did not get it. So I was going to offer you, a big coffee. It's kind of like that line from the movie Trading Places where they go liquor and tobacco, all you want. I'll give you as much coffee as you want, plus a ticket to the game if you'll drive down and drive me so I can sleep on the way back. Because otherwise, it's just me driving back by myself. So that's probably what's going to be. I'm not going to wait for the morning because it is going to be sheer madness here. ESPN College Game Day's here. Fox's, whatever, Big Noon Kickoff crew is here. Tickets, even high-level upper deck tickets are going for the upper 3 digits to 4 digits now to get to. It is sheer lunacy around here already for this game, and I expect it to be at a fever pitch on Saturday morning. So I'm not going to go back to the hotel and sleep a little bit, then get up and drive in. No, I'm turning around and driving straight back down after.
Okay, well, see, it's a great offer, and I appreciate your offer, but it doesn't work because you are missing one key component, which is that if you and I were driving down to Austin, you wouldn't sleep. We'd just talk about high school football for 3 hours.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. It's a good point.
He's Craig Way.
You're right.
He's the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Hear him on the Horn in Austin every weekday on with Jeff Howe on Light the Tower. Of course, you can hear him call Alabama and Texas coming up here this Saturday morning. Craig, appreciate your time, my friend, and I will see you on Friday night.
See you guys then.
Bye, Craig.
There he goes. Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, joins us every Tuesday here on Texas Football Today. Yeah, It's bad enough whenever he has to drive back for Iowa State at 11 a.m. But getting to Austin, I just don't know how he does it because he's going to drive. He'll drive fast, so he'll get to his house at 3:45. Okay, he'll get to his house at 3:45. I presume he's going to get about 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, well, that's not even as bad. I know the one time he left and he picked up his son who does his stats for him, and they drove straight to Lubbock for an 11 a.m. kick. That's the story that always sticks in my brain because that's 5 hours from the DFW.
He is a psycho.
So, yeah.
He's a psycho. Anyway,
The
we appreciate
goat.
Craig Way taking some time with us. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. How about our friends at Athletes to Athletes? Every high school athlete wants to play on the big stage, and every parent wants their child to be the best, but is making your target list of schools based on top 25 rankings really the best strategy? What about academics, location, coaching style, financial aid? There's so many factors that should be considered when selecting a college program outside of on-field performance. Our friends at Athletes to Athletes have put together a recruiting guide centered around providing a broader, more holistic perspective about what your college experience could be. It's got checklists, do's and don'ts, key strategies, much more. It's a 22-page guide that covers everything you and your family should know as you walk through your college recruiting journey. And now, for a limited time only, Athletes to Athletes is offering this guide for free to our audience. Go to athletes.com/Dave Campbell today. Download the free college recruiting guide. That's athletes.com, athletes.athletes.com/Dave Campbell, or scan that QR. Pickle, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, the leading publication for all things football in the state of Texas, and the Tax Act Texas Bowl. Recognize the most outstanding high school football players in the state every week with the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week award. Each week, the Dave Campbell's Texas football staff nominates 10 candidates for that week's award based on the previous week's on-field performance. We then leave it up to you to vote at texasfootball.com. Voting closes each Friday at noon, with the winner being announced on texasfootball.com shortly thereafter. Your Week 2 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week nominees: Cy Creek quarterback Brad Jackson threw for 418 yards and 5 touchdowns passing, had another 89 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground for Cy Creek. El Paso Eastwood quarterback Andrew Minares, 14 of 16, 432 yards and 7 touchdowns passing, and ran for another score. Austin Bowie running back Max Barnes, 154 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, 5 catches, 117 yards, and 2 touchdowns receiving for the Bulldogs. How about this line from Greenville athlete Micah Simpson? 30 carries, 434 yards, and 6 touchdowns rushing, plus 3 tackles and an interception on defense.
Holy crap.
Greenville's Micah Simpson.
My goodness.
Lovejoy wide receiver Kyle Parker went nuts. 23 catches, 341 yards, and 3 touchdowns receiving. The 23 catches are second most in state history in a single game.
Wow.
Port Arthur Memorial defensive back Davion Isles, 6 tackles, 3 interceptions, and an interception return for a touchdown. Port Arthur Memorial had 7 interceptions in their win over Nederland. Pampa running back Max Neff, 2 Maxes here, 23 carries, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, plus another 37 yards and a touchdown receiving. What about Stephenville running back Tate Maruska? They had a crazy game with Everman. 49 carries, 311 yards, 5 touchdowns on the ground, plus another 26 yards receiving. Montgomery Lake Creek running back Tyvon Byers, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing, and a receiving touchdown for Montgomery Lake Creek's running back. And finally, Beckville running back and defensive back Jacoby Williams, 202 yards, 5 touchdowns rushing, 11 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a sack, and an 88-yard kickoff return touchdown. So there, your Week 2 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week nominees. Vote early, vote often, vote now at texasfootball.com. Gotta clear my throat here. With cold coffee. Ugh.
Ooh. That'll wake you up.
All right, Pickle. It's time to take a look at the college football weekend across the Lone Star State. And the way that we're going to do it this year is that instead of going through each and every game, we've got a great podcast for you, Republic of Football. It's great. Now they're putting out 2 podcasts every.
Yeah, they just tweeted out that they're coming for TFT. So
they're doing
keep
3
downloading.
podcasts a week. That's not fair. I didn't authorize this.
You let them off the leash.
Anyway, if you want complete wire-to-wire, tip-to-tail, rooter-to-tutor coverage of college football in the state of Texas,
Mike Craven strikes me as the guy that would love the phrase rooter to tutor.
Republic of Football is your podcast. What we're going to do here is we're going to take the top line thing. And what I want to do is I want to revisit the 5 biggest moments of the college football weekend. Maybe they're plays. Maybe they are things that got fans. Maybe they are bands. Mm-hmm. Whatever they are, we're going to visit the 5 biggest moments of the college football weekend. Okay? We're going to start with number 5.
Do you want me to play it?
Yeah,
It was interesting. They're certainly clear that Shuck is the guy, but also that these quarterbacks would get an opportunity, but not just kneel down duty at the end. He wanted them to actually show what they could do, and Smith will get a chance. Collapse in defense, walk it in for 6. Easy money for the Red Raiders, and they build on their lead. Jaron Bradley.
It's Donovan Smith's first touchdown pass for Texas Tech against Murray State. And why is this a big deal? So the game between Tech and Murray State was not particularly competitive. Texas Tech put a hurt into them in the way that I would say you would want to see an FBS team like Texas Tech, and especially a team that has not always taken care of their business against teams that they're better than, right? They went out there and took care of business against Murray State. They were every bit the part of the aggressor here. They look great. The reason I chose that moment is because that was right after Tyler Shuck, their quarterback, went down with injury. Our Mike Craven is reporting that Tyler Shuck will be out at least the next 2 weeks, which includes this week against Houston. Donovan Smith was then pressed into duty. Now, we've been hearing a lot about the quarterback competition out there at Texas Tech, but you never know when the backup comes in. But that touchdown pass there to Jaron Bradley, to SotoZone, I think is very good news for Texas Tech fans. He goes 14 of 16, 221 yards and 4 touchdowns passing. Looked super sharp.
If nothing else, it was a very quick way for people to take a little bit of a deep breath, which was needed.
That when the quarterback goes down, everyone's like, oh no, what's going to happen?
Because real fast, if you remember back to last year, he was out. He got injured and was out the rest of the year.
Yes.
So this is like one of those, oh, here we go again moments.
But I think Donovan Smith coming in and immediately saying, hey, you know what? We're good. I got this thing.
Yeah,
and looking very good in their win over Murray State. I thought that was a very big moment for Texas Tech this week. Let's roll on to number 4.
On first down. Off the penalty. Here's Ani. Here's Burns. Got the catch. Ball's out. Had the momentum for the first down, but before he came down, the ball's out, and SMU's got it.
SMU's forced fumble against North Texas in the first quarter of the game. Okay. And this is the kind of thing that I want to do is I want to dive into what the real key moments here were. So SMU, if you weren't watching that game, SMU had taken the league. It's kind of been a feeling out process in the first couple of possessions and things like that, but they'd just taken the lead. They had they traded punts, and then SMU goes on a 13-play touchdown drive that ends up with Tanner Mordecai to Jeremy Carley, maybe I think it is for the touchdown. Okay. Looked every bit the part. Looked great. At that point, North Texas kind of starts to drive the ball a little bit.
I was going to say, they were moving really fast. There was no huddle up.
There's no huddle.
They were going.
This looked like, here we come.
They got about 40 yards in
it's
span
gonna come,
of less than
it's going to
a
come
minute.
back to back. Right. Start on their 25, and then suddenly, like 4 plays later, after converting a 4th down,
it was quick.
They're right there on the SMU 41, looking pretty good. That is when Austin Ani found Roderick Burns on a bit of a seam pattern, and you're going, okay, here they come. SMU rips the ball out. Nick Roberts falls on it. 5 plays later, it's 14-0.
And I can
that
tell
was,
you,
and at that point, it was a missed field goal for North Texas, and in my opinion, the game was over.
Yeah, the morale in the stadium when that drive didn't end up in any sort of a score went pew.
I thought that was the critical moment that it could have gone either way. You know, you never know how the rest of that game is going to play out if North Texas is able to go down and score the touchdown. But what happened there was the whole thing shifted.
Yes.
Because at that point, you stop their drive, and 5 plays later, you're in the end zone. 14-0. At that point, North Texas got to go, well, what are we going to do here? So I was huge for SMU to really take command of this game. Number 3.
Gibson, speed sweep, wanting the wheel route. Instead, underneath, Wetman at the 5, walks it into the end zone. Touchdown, Lumberjacks. Mo Wetman.
How about this one? How about Stephen F. Austin's go-ahead touchdown against Alcorn State? This might have flown under your radar, and it's okay if it did, but this was a huge, huge win for Stephen F. Austin to avoid 0-2. They're going on the road to play Alcorn State, who is a big-time contender. They're a big-time contender among the I believe they're in the, are they in the SWAC? Yeah, they're in the SWAC, right? They're a big-time contender. They hadn't lost at home in quite a while. And meanwhile, at that point, going into that drive, you're talking about a team in Stephen F. Austin who we think have legit state champion or national championship aspirations that's staring 0-2 in the face. And like, for a program that you got to make it at a level where you got to make the playoffs, 0-2 is not a great way to start that. Okay? They trailed 24-10 at halftime in this game. But with 2 minutes and 22 seconds left, they were down 27-24 when Trey Self found Mo Wetman on that really beautiful kind of misdirection play. They faked that. Basically, the play was designed that they were going to fake to the wheel route, and instead, guy comes right underneath and he's untouched in Mo Wetman. They end up getting an interception to hold on and win the game. I think that's huge. I don't want to say that's a season-saving, play because there's a lot of football left to go.
But it's a good start.
But for SFA to avoid that 0-2 start, I thought that was really important for them. And I thought that touchdown against Alcorn State was particularly impressive. So that is number 3. Number 2.
He is a dangerous return man. return won 100 yards, a kick return last season against West Virginia. Standing at his own 35. Makes the catch at his own 40. Davis. He's got a line. Davis down the sideline with the speed. Davis is going to go all the way.
Darius Davis's 60-yard punt return for a touchdown for TCU in the second quarter of their game at Colorado. So this game in the first half was, how do I put this in a way that is professional? But.
It was very bad.
It was quite but, is what it was. These two teams, the first possessions in these games were downs, punt, field goal, punt. It was ugly. It was
Very
real ugly. Okay? At which point, they're in the second quarter, goes kind of, this was right after TCU's able to get, they're down 3-0, they're able to get Colorado off the field. That's when Darius Davis takes that punt return back for a touchdown.
We watched that. I watched that live with our Bally producer, Brian Smith, who is a TCU grad, and that's when he finally went, oh my God, finally something. Like, it was the meme of do something.
The offense had really been stuck in the mud.
It was really bad.
They needed a jolt. Now, and that really changed the game because they didn't score for the rest of the half. It goes 7-6 in a halftime, right? 7-6. But they turned it on in the second half, and they outscored them, the rest of the way. And they drilled them. They went touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown. Their possessions after halftime. Touchdown, field goal, touchdown, 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 end of game. Perfect.
Great.
And really,
No notes.
they needed that spark to get them out of the mud, and I think Darius Davis provided that for their with that.
Well, Chandler Morris went down too. That was a big blow that had happened, and they responded well to that.
You're right, but at the same time, I would say that having a guy, back there that you can rely on.
Oh yeah, Old Faithful came in, and
Exactly
there was
right.
no
Max Duggan,
issue. But just from a morale standpoint on the sideline, they
agree.
needed that jolt of energy back into him, and that's what Darius Davis did.
Davis gave it to him. But it wasn't the biggest moment of the weekend. Number 1.
2. Get it off cleanly. Blitz comes. He's flushed and looking and scrambling and leaping. It is in! Wow! Clayton Tune up and away. And Houston has the first 2-point conversion.
Clayton Tune's tumble into the end zone for the 2-point conversion in the third overtime against UTSA. That was a wild game.
It was.
You can listen to the full recap on Republic of Football because both Mike Craven and Mallory Hartley were there.
Mallory said she went down on the sideline at the first overtime, so she was right down there for all of it.
So that game was crazy because first half, UTSA kind of looks like they're going to go and run away with it. And they look like they are the better team, and Houston doesn't know what they're doing. Houston comes out in the second half, much calmer. Everything feels a lot better. They settle into this game. They score. They kick that field goal with like 22 seconds left, and you're going, well, going to win. Going to escape. Frank Harris marches them down the field, gets the game-winning field goal as time expires, and suddenly we're going to overtime.
Yep.
They trade overtime scores, trade overtime scores, trade overtime scores. So then they get to the third overtime where you have to exchange 2-point conversions. Now, I don't know how you feel about that. How do you feel about the 2-point conversion overtime?
I'm fine with that personally. Like in my mind, if you are already at a third overtime, let's go. Yeah. Like it's time to show something.
And so on that play, UTSA sends the blitz, and it becomes very apparent very early to Clayton Tune, give him credit for recognizing it. I'm gonna have to do this myself. It's gonna have to be me. He still keeps his eyes downfield, but it's gonna have to be me. This is the Houston. Think about what we're talking about with this Houston program. There's a Houston program that lost their season opener last year to Texas Tech, and everyone wondered where they're going to fire Daniel Holgorsen.
Yep.
It really kind of cut the legs out from underneath what could have been a special season, considering what happened after that. There's a Houston program we think can make it to the college football playoff this year. We think they can go undefeated as American Athletic Conference champions. But at that moment, I imagine whenever they're kicking that field goal, UTSA kicking that field goal to go to overtime, they're thinking, here we go again. We're going to spit the bit in week 1, and all of our college football playoff dreams are getting dashed in week 1.
Because they were already ranked 24 in the preseason AP poll.
In week 1.
So
it's over
at
for
that
us.
point, you're done. You're out.
And Clayton Tune turns the corner, and goes airborne in for the score. If they make the playoff, which is a long way away, and they've got some important fixes to make.
Yep.
But if Houston lives up to the place of their paper and they make it to the college football playoff, we're going to look back on that play, on that Clayton Tune conversion in triple overtime, and we're going to say that's where it all started.
Yep.
It was right there. That was the moment that it kicked off that run.
Especially senior leadership. Putting that on your back in week
Absolutely.
1 says everything.
Absolutely. So there you have it. The 5 biggest moments from the college football weekend. We'll have it every Tuesday here on Texas Football Today. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Pickle, you want to tell us about our friends at First National Bank of Omaha?
Yes, First National Bank of Omaha is proud to support communities they serve every day, spotlighting impressive young people in their schools throughout the Impactful Leadership Program. And this week, a special congratulations as we are proud to recognize Dylan Doubt of Frisco Heritage High School as with the Impactful Leadership Award presented by First National Bank of Omaha. Congratulations to Dylan Doubt. First National Bank of Omaha is a great, big, small bank.
Thanks, First National Bank of Omaha. Congratulations to Dylan over there at Frisco Heritage High School. Pickle. Dairy Max and Dave Campbell's Texas Football are proud to team up this year to honor excellence in coaching and the hard work that assistant coaches put in on behalf of their teams. Each week, the Texas football staff nominates 4 deserving assistant coaches across the state and let fans decide on the winner via Twitter poll. It all leads up to the Dairy Max Built by Chocolate Milk Assistant Coach of the Year decided at season's end. Your Week 2 Dairy Max Built by Chocolate Milk Assistant Coach of the Week nominees. Let's start. Wichita Falls offensive coordinator Jason Reynolds. The Coyotes attack was on fire against Hereford, racking up 605 total yards, fueled by 447 passing yards from John Ledesma and a 52-28 romp over the Whitefaces. Elgin defensive coordinator Clay Ferguson. Following an 0-10 season in 2021, the Wildcats are off to a 2-0 start, thanks in large part to its defense, which smothered Austin Aikens 38-7 on Friday night. Austin Anderson defense coordinator Mike Maldonado. Facing high-powered Leander Rouse, the Trojans' defense stood tall, holding the Raiders to just 3.8 yards per play in a 35-13 victory. And finally, Port Arthur Memorial defensive coordinator, right? There's no such thing as defensive quarterback. Defensive coordinator Corey Mangum. The Titans came up with big play after big play on Friday night, intercepting a whopping 7 passes, including 1 return for a touchdown and a 41-21 win over Nederland. So those are your Week 2 Dairy Max Built by Chocolate Milk Assistant Coach of the Week nominees. Vote now on Twitter at DCTF. Pickle. Got more to do. You guys are never going to believe this, but we got more to do. Okay? Let's talk about our friends at Body Armor, because our friends at Body Armor are the presenting sponsor of the Dave Campbell's Texan Live Top 10 Plays of the Week. Every week, we gather up all of the plays from across the state of Texas. We gather them up into a big bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
That's a literal bucket.
And then what we do, we hire a chicken.
Mm-hmm.
The chicken comes in and picks out the best plays of the week.
Shout out our chicken, Trevor Bullard.
Oh, I thought it was Roscoe. Okay. And so, without further ado, the Week 2 Dave Campbell's Texan Live Top 10 Plays of the Week presented by Body Armor.
Williams under pressure. Comes back left. What a run. Williams up the sideline. Cuts it inside of the 20. Inside the 10. Still going down to the 8. Barnes drops. Deep throw. Man is there. That is going to be caught for the touchdown. Ethan Wyatt. 29.
Jackson looking to throw. Touchdown! Side Creek. The throw goes to Jamon Richardson. What an unbelievable finish here. Throws up the sideline. It's caught! Touchdown, Kingwood! Tyler Harrington.
Way for them to get pressure. He's going to draw back again. Pressure. He's going to get it quick out. They got it. They toss it. They get a little flip. They get something going up the sideline. This could be the game. He's up the sideline. He's trying to make something happen. He cuts back. He's going to have he cuts back to the middle. He is going to win this at the end with the flip play. Oh, my God. Did that just happen?
I do not believe what I just saw.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and
There
to
it
be
is.
notified when they come out,
Your
go
Dave
ahead.
Campbell's Texan Live Top 10 Plays of the Week, presented by your friends at Body Armor. The number one play, Anna's miraculous hook and ladder touchdown on the final play to beat Aubrey.
Yeah, that was
85-yard hook and lateral. And they were able to get the victory. So congratulations to them. The Seth Davis touchdown run against Tascasita was pretty dope.
He's a bad man.
Bad man. The Kingwood receiver. My goodness.
He's got ups.
Ball.
He's lengthy.
Getting up and getting it. Anyway, we appreciate Body Armor and presenting the Dave Campbell's Texan Live Top 10 Plays of the Week. All right, Pickle. Let's do one more thing here, and that is Dave Campbell's Texas Football is proud to honor one head coach in each classification with the Coach of the Week award. Each week, each coach recognized with a special honor typifies the best in Texas high school football. Your Week 2 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Coaches of the Week. In 6A, Jonathan Wilson from Klein Forest. After several lean years, Klein Forest alum Wilson has the Eagles soaring early in 2022 as Klein Forest improved to 2-0 in the season with a hard-fought 24-17 win over Humble. In 5A, Leon Paul from Lancaster. In his second season at the helm of Lancaster, Coach Paul got a signature win on Friday night, authoring a stellar defensive performance as the Tigers took down defending 5A Division II state champion and the number one team in the state, South Oak Cliff, with a 21-3 win. In 4A, J.D. Zimmerhansel of San Antonio Davenport. The Wolves, in their first varsity season, are making plenty of waves as head coach Zimmerhansel and Davenport are 2-0 after back-to-back season opening wins over Victoria West in Week 1 and a 31-28 win over Kerrville Tivy this week. In 3A, Ruben Garcia from Falfurrias. After winning one game in the past two seasons, Coach Garcia has the fighting jerseys playing great football as they improved to 2-0 in the season with an 18-6 upset win over Hebronville, a game in which they were, according to the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Computer, 15-point underdogs. In 2A, Kevin Hoffman from Mart. In a Super Centex showdown of state-ranked teams, Coach Hoffman's Panthers flexed their muscles in a major way with a dominating 41-6 win over Marlin on Thursday night. In 1A, Chris Ellison from Trent. Ellison's Gorillas took the fight to Lone on Thursday night, topping the Eagles 67-34 and improving to 2-0 for the first time since 2013. And in the private school ranks, Donnie Yantis from Plano Prestonwood. Yantis earned his first win as the Lions head coach in a big way as the squad traveled to Houston and stunned state-ranked Houston Second Baptist 31-27. So those are your Week 2 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Coaches of the Week. Congratulations to all the coaches, and thank you for everything you do for your players, schools, and communities. For more information, visit texasfootball.com. And with that, let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment, Final Thoughts. That's how you take two shows and cram them into one.
Yeah, if y'all want to hear us say anything else, you're crazy. That'll do it for us.
Do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to the great Craig Way for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow for a much shorter show on Texas Football Today.